So happy to have Don from the Motorleague on the podcast. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
It has been a dog's age. I don't know what that means, but that's at least what it's been.
Whatever it means, it feels like twice that amount because of the way, just reality. That's all.
Amen to that, man. Amen. Reality. I love it.
Yeah, so what's been new? Catch me at, you guys have got a new song. There must be a new album on the way. The new song's awesome. It's called Dischordia, and it features Brian Byrne, formerly of I, Mother Earth.
Yeah. So, man, we recorded this a bit ago, just before the pandemic kind of hit, and we always had meant to go back to Toronto and do another 5 songs. We did 5 songs with Eric Ratz, and Brian came in, obviously, on this one, and that was fantastic. He was, I'll just say now, he was a big supporter, and he kind of kept us going. I know maybe 2018 or 2019, we lost our longtime rhythm section, our drummer, our bassist. And it was kind of like, at that point, we're like, all right, maybe it's, time to just be done. But Brian was he was such a stalwart, just supporter in our corner, being like, no, you guys got to keep going. So that was really awesome, because I obviously grew up listening to I, Mother Earth, and I love the records that he's on a lot. So it was really cool to just have him in our corner, and really cool when he said he would come sing on a song. But unfortunately, there's no record, because we did those 5 tracks, and then that was it. We've been stuck in the, I don't want to say stuck, but we're out here in Atlantic, Canada for the foreseeable future.
So EP?
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially EP.
Yeah. Brian Byrne said that you guys are a shining light in the world of rock, and from his perspective, this band should be so big. And I agree with that, because I was just going through, I always brush up before I chat with the band, and I was just going through the singles, and over the last almost a decade, I guess, or pretty much a decade, going back exactly that to 2011, 2013, and tune after tune. You guys come with a different sounding kind of lead-off single every time too, which I dig.
Yeah, that's definitely not intentional. That's more just I think it's just me cutting my teeth as a songwriter, and and we have had a lot of people through the band. We've had a laughable amount of people, and I'm sure it's definitely a regional joke. I don't know if it's a national joke yet, but there's a lot of people that have been in the Motorleague, and that's just from attrition, and it's not easy being a working band, and it's just tough. So we've been through a lot of people, and that really does shape the sound. But yeah, I think there's bands that just kind of come out when they're new and they're brand new, and they just explode and they have that sound, and then there's people that just take forever to kind of cut their teeth and find out what their sound is, and just keep honing it over the decades. And that's me. What was the Kevin Costner movie where he plays baseball and he gets
Field of Dreams? Yeah, if you build it, they will come. Yeah, there's
that one, but then there was another one where
Bull Durham, yes, which is the more raunchy. Yeah, this is not the family movie.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm the Bull Durham. That's one where he gets drafted into the major leagues, but he's in his 40s or something, right?
Yeah, it's kind of it's not unlike Ricky Vaughn, I think, in Major League too.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like that. We're late in the game, but we're still cutting our teeth, and hopefully that has some charm to it too.
But all of the songs they're just big sounding too. They sound this is from a huge band that's had #1 hits and stuff like that. Even going back to, you talked about some attrition and turnover. Okay, so who is playing the dude in the video for North America from 2013?
That is a fellow named Bobby Ronca. I have not seen or heard of him again since we shot that video, but he was just a character that they came up with. That video was shot by Peter and Josh from the band July Talk.
Okay.
And, they shot that, and I was a big fan of their videos. Aside from their band, I loved also the video work they did. So we got to hire them, and it was a great experience. But that was somebody that they knew. That was one of their their weird friends or something.
Who was just a riot, like, oh, this guy will be great. Let's take him. Yeah.
Yeah, and we wanted to do like a follow-up video, like another video with him, and then just nobody really knew. He was like a vagabond or something. Nobody really knew where he was or where he lived. It's like, oh, if you find him, you find him, kind of thing.
That's funny. But it just like that whole video was fun. It was a reminder of like an easier time in the world.
Yeah, well, I'll say that for sure. That was a really fun video.
There's another one. I'm going through this stuff, and do you know the band Revive the Rose? Have you heard of those guys? They're from Welland.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
We played with them in I want to say in Guelph.
Okay, when things were still happening, that's cool.
But yeah, and yes, it's not recently. This would be going back.
All right. So again, as I'm going through some of the Motorleague stuff chronologically here, I get to 2015 in the song "The Boards." This is a hockey jam. This is like, one of those tunes that gets you amped up. And I asked that because Revive the Rose also have a hockey tune. They have a song called Bar Down, and I'm wondering if I could start some sort of like a Canadian rock beef. Like, it's not really East Coast, West Coast. It's more like East Coast, Ontario, between these hockey songs. The Boards versus Bar Down, Motorleague versus Revive the Rose.
You want to start a beef between our band and their band?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We're not doing anything, so we might as well do something.
Okay, sure. I'm calling those guys out on the quality of their hockey song.
I don't know what it even means to put songs together. Yeah, no, they both are.
Ours, yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I don't know if that was like trying to cash in on that like hockey sound or what. I don't remember. For me, I just wanted this really big opening. That was supposed to be like, that song that you write, you come out on stage and it's like, and you kind of get that.
So many bands have this song though. Like it's not just you and Revive the Rose. I say that just because they've been on the podcast and we talked a lot about that song when I had Andy on. And we did a live thing with him a couple of weeks ago. It's just that, okay, so like Monster Truck they have the Enforcer.
Okay, well, you cannot not acknowledge the Monster Truck influence in that song. Just like, let's get that off the table.
Yeah,
like,
it's a little bit different sounding for you guys.
Yeah. And I mean, same producer, same studio, same guitars, probably same amps and pedals.
So you did that with Eric Ratz too?
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Ratz just does everything. Does Eric Ratz do everything in Canada?
If I had my way, he would.
Yeah.
If that's okay. No, I mean, I'm a big fan of Ratz, and I've learned more from Eric Ratz than I think I have from anybody.
That's cool.
Save my parents or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a great teacher.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Okay. So that song definitely has some Monster Truck influence, and it was definitely a hockey vibe to it. And the Oilers used it a bunch in their arena.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next question was, did it get used and by who? But for the Oilers to use it, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think maybe the CFL used it on a couple, like just little promo clips or something, like, like the slow motion of some guy getting biffed with the ball. And but the Oilers, I hope they still play it. I don't, obviously now is a little bit, but yeah, but every now and then on the SoCans, we'll see that come in, like, oh, the Edmonton Oilers played it. Or I'll get like phone videos from people who are at an Oilers game and they're filming and the song is playing in the arena.
Oh, that's cool. So you get those big SoCan checks when it plays, right? And you're just like, oh, man, we're going on vacation now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we know, what it's like a buck or something, but,
I know that Hockey Night in Canada, I'm sure that they used like a Nickelback song at one point. They probably used like, I don't know. It doesn't matter what song they use. But in more recent times, you get like these, like sometimes like a country song or these like indie rock, like these songs that do not get the adrenaline flowing in terms of what I think of like, let's get amped up for hockey. Have you noticed that?
I mean, my Hockey Night in Canada, like I haven't really kept up with Hockey Night in Canada. So,
oh, you're not a hockey fan?
Not really. I mean, not really. I mean, I definitely was as a kid.
So you guys really were trying to cash in by writing a hockey song then?
I was. I mean, the other guys in the band are legit. It's just me. Like, I mean, I don't know about Taylor, our bass player, but I mean, Tom and Nathan, our guitar player and our drummer, they would get in a fist fight over their love of different hockey teams and stuff. And that's a big like band thing. But no, for me, I think it was definitely like, you know, I love stoner rock, and I love
Oh, me too.
Monster Truck records. So it was an easy thing. But yeah, to kind of the video more so even than the song was definitely like a cheap greasy cash in. Do you remember when Hockey Night in Canada they opened it up to have like you could submit your own hockey theme?
Well, yeah.
I still say we did one, and I think our hockey theme is the best. It kind of sounds a little bit like The Legend of Zelda or something meets Hockey Night in Canada. Okay. But I think our hockey anthem was so cool, and it never got It's never
seen the light of day.
It's never seen the light of day. I can dig it up if we absolutely have to. It's really B-side. Good. It does sound like video game music.
B-side, the EP bonus track, fan club or something. There you go.
Oh, it's so good, dude. It just like screams hockey, and maybe like a little too close to the original. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you gotta do something with it then. You sound excited about that song.
Yeah, but I am excited. That was a great tune. I was like, I thought we were gonna win. I was like, we're gonna win. There's no way we're gonna not win. But you know.
Well, it's great that we've talked about this awesome song that none of us have ever heard. Well, you guys have, but
I think it was just me and our drummer at the time. I don't even think the other guys were. We were so sure we were gonna win. We cashed that check. I know we did.
Some of the other songs, I mean, there's a couple that come. I mean, like I said, you guys have different sounding lead-off singles. Always, come with great tunes. But there's a couple that always stick out to me. One being All the Words, I think, is definitely one of those. Is that like your closing song usually at most shows?
Oh, yeah, that's a religious closing song. Yes, for sure. Yeah. And the live version is like 20 minutes long or something. And
nice.
The big chants. And yeah, that was written to be an album closer. It was never written to be a single. And the original demo of it was vastly different, and Rats was really like, this is a single. We need to make this a single. And I was like, no, it's supposed to be that song that like fades out for 20 minutes when the credits are rolling on the album. But no, he kind of shook me on that one and was like, you're an idiot. Like this is a single. And even like the label released it as a single. And I was like, okay, you guys are dumb. But I ended up eating crow on that one.
Hey, you know what? Know why it's a any like song's got like, okay, it's big, it's got great guitar riffs to it, and it's got the key element of a hit punk rock song. Whoa, it's got woes. It's got woes.
Yeah. I like woes, man, and I mean that's like like lyrically, that song is just about going to see a band that you absolutely love and just like how you get in the zone or just you lose time. You just time is gone, and then you're just in this moment with this band that you love, and you're just like, I don't know, you just get lost. And that's what that is for me, man. I've done that, as a music fan more than anything. I've done that so many times. Maybe like bands like, for me, like seeing Propaganda live, or I saw the Cancer Bats in Iceland. That was one of those experiences where I don't even remember it. I was dead sober, but like it's just a blur. It was so magical.
I love how you mentioned
that's what that is.
I love how you mentioned two Canadian bands too. Yeah.
I think I listen to Canadian music more than, and not really in any kind of like shot in the arm of proud. It's just, I think that's just what I like. The sounds that I think all the stuff I listen to is predominantly Canadian.
Another one that's got that vibe too is A Little Too Obvious. This heart stops beating every time you're near. Every time I hear I'm being just a little too obvious. Gotta make it just a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I was cleaning up my hard drive the other day and I found the original lyrics for that, and I had named it Springsteen.text. It was the original had that like, hey little girl, is your dad? It kind of had that vibe to it, and then again, you get it into the studio with the band and the producer, and it comes off a lot different, hopefully. But yeah, no, I like that song. I mean, I think that one for me is a little, it might be a little on the nose lyrically, but it's good. It's a good one. I was into it.
I also get you mentioned the Springsteen thing. I always think of when Springsteen and punk rock equals Gaslight Anthem, kind of. There's that. I don't know. There's some sort of a connection there. I get that vibe a little bit maybe from North America. Which is a different sounding song than I find than some of the other singles that we just talked about.
Yeah, so weirdly enough, I think I wrote that song in Florida while we were down there for this festival called the Fest, and we saw the Gaslight Anthem for the first time that year while we were there. So that's a weird connection to make, but also maybe I just recently saw them and then kind of like I have no idea. I don't. And
Are you telling me I'm brilliant? Is that what you're saying?
I'm telling you that you definitely are making connections that are probably very accurate. I don't know if I'd go.
So not brilliant. Thank
brilliant.
you. Yeah.
What's like a step under brilliant? Like,
All
we'll
right.
give you that.
I'll
Maybe
take it.
Intuitive. Vastly intuitive.
Whatever I can get. Okay, so then let's talk about the new song, because again, Dischordia is. When I saw that you guys had new material, I go in with probably now, all those songs that we just talked about and a certain expectation. And Dischordia was a not what I expected, but I really dig the song.
Oh, I mean, that's good. Like, I write a lot of songs, right? Like, I think, probably most songwriters have a vast library of material, and some of it gets thrown out and some of it, makes it. And I just let the guys in the band kind of pick and choose. Like, I'll give them 30 songs, and they'll kind of pick and choose what they want, which I appreciate that, because
some people say it's hard to write a song. Hold on. We're going to get back to Dischordia for a second, but you come up with, like, you just churn them out, like they just come out like that?
Oh, yeah. I have to shut it off. Like, I'll just write constantly, all the time. And, with the advent of all this new technology, like computers and Pro Tools and everything, and you can just basically make a whole song easily in a day that is almost, competitive. You can just do it at your house. Like, and so that doesn't, that just, in anything, that's just like clay, right? That's just like, here's an endless amount of clay that you can mold into whatever you want. So yeah, so for me, I'm writing constantly. Like, we've got just.
Are you writing pen and paper, or do you sit with a guitar and write?
Okay, so it's always melody first. So with the guitar first, and I'll just kind of like piece lyrics together over melodies. So it's never. I don't think I've ever in my life written like penned lyrics first. That always comes later. And a lot of times, like, the first draft of lyrics will be really bad, like so bad. And I'll just sing about any. It doesn't matter, right? And then you just kind of piece out later. You're like, okay, I kind of get this vibe from the song. Here, this is what I want to say in it. But yeah, it's I think that originally, like, it's always melody and then cadence. So where the words fall, not necessarily what you're saying, but where they fall.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when you listen to a lot of like hip hop or rap music, it's all about cadence, right?
Yeah.
So try to keep that in mind. And then the lyrics will be like the last thing I'll pen in, and I'll work on the lyrics for months. And just like tweaking them until you're in the studio and you're still last minute tweaking them.
Yeah, because I've never written songs, but I hear people say that it's a difficult thing, and sometimes it's really easy to get, what writer's block, or get stuck on something, or like how do you open it, or like what's the first line, and for something not to sound that it's, that's something that you've already done. If you write a lot of songs too, that's got to be difficult, I think, because if you're coming up with 30 songs for one album, then you've probably got hundreds,
Yeah, and some of them are garbage, and that. Like, I'll know a song is garbage.
But it still counts. Just be like, oh, the hell with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it counts. The guys get it, and they kind of just like, they don't even say anything about it. Like, if it doesn't even make their comments list, then it's bad. But I still put all those in there anyway, because it kind of like helps to kind of push some of the other stuff that I want to get in. But a lot of times I'll write in my sleep too. I know a lot of people do that. I thought that was weird, but I've heard a lot of people do it. Like, they'll dream a song and then wake up and rush to a guitar or piano or whatever. And I have done that, but none of the dream songs have ever made an album, not once. So
okay,
that should probably tell you that I'm dreaming crap.
I used to just from doing a show, like a radio show, like I used to try to do something similar. Like you'd wake up and you have an idea, and for me it wasn't about a song, but maybe it's about something that you wanted to do, maybe something you thought was funny. It's like, oh, this would be great. And if you don't write it down right away, you lose it. And then sometimes you read it later and you're like, what the hell was I even thinking of? Like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, there's a moment in the morning when you're like lucid, when you wake up and you're like, this is gold, Jerry.
This is the most important thing. Yes.
Yeah. And then like 20 minutes to like an hour later, you're like, what? Like, after you had coffee, you're like, I don't even
Yeah.
This is gobbledygook.
Yeah.
No, that happens.
I find that, honestly, I sometimes do the best thinking in the shower. I come into the shower and I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. I need to put this into motion today.
1000% agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Like just singing like melodies and stuff in the shower, like all the time, constantly.
All right. Good show.
And in the car too, the same thing. So when I'm driving, I'll just be like singing ideas and melodies and stuff. And on 2 occasions, I have pocket dialed people
and sang them a song unknowingly.
Both of them were my boss. I work, in the concert industry out here too, and I do all the pulling the brown M&Ms out of the M&M bags for artists. I've done that job for years, where I pick them up at the airport and all that stuff.
Okay.
So both times it was concert promoters that I was working for. So I had, been texting them a lot back and forth, work related stuff. And yeah, I pocket dialed them and just like sang and they would just put it on speaker and leave it on their desk for 20 minutes. And I just come back in the building and everyone's just kind of like laughing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I know. I don't love it.
Well, it happens. I mean, you are a singer after all, so you can't be too embarrassed about it.
You're right.
But there are things that you thought that you didn't have an audience for.
Yeah, like you're just riffing stuff out. You're just like, whoa, and it's not necessarily good. It's just you're trying things out. You're starting over, and
you're molding the clay, like you said.
Oh man, yeah, done a few of those.
All right, so that was a big detour, but okay, so back to Dischordia then. So let's talk about that song.
Yeah. Okay. Right. You're right. I did detour.
I hijacked that because you said you had 30 songs for the records. I'm like, wait a second. That seems like a lot. But okay,
we'll blame you.
But Dischordia is the best one, right? So that's why you led with that first.
Our bass player Taylor just really loved that song. He really loved the demo, and he just fought for it so much so that we're like, okay, like if anybody loves the song that much, then that says a lot. So I don't know that. I'm not sure if everybody loved it or the other guys were obviously cool with it, but yeah, Taylor, that was just him. He just was like, I want that song to make it, so it made it. And yeah, it is a different vibe, man. It's a really different kind of sound. And maybe that was part of the attraction. It was like, it doesn't sound like every other, mid-tempo, almost punk song that we do. Maybe it just had enough of a different vibe that was like cool. So
yeah, I think like I said to you, like I had a certain expectation of what it might sound like when I saw that you guys had new material, and that wasn't it, but I really dug it. So, there is something to that, I think. I felt that, I kind of felt this about when Foo Fighters put out Shame at first. I heard it and I was kind of like, oh, that's underwhelming, because the new one, Waiting on a War, like it gets to the end part where it kind of rolls out and it everything kind of kicks in, but it starts off slow as well. I was just waiting for that with Shame to finally kick in, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But that was not an expected sound, but underwhelming. Whereas I'm not saying Dischordia is better than the Foo Fighters, but I'm just saying I had a different expectation. It didn't meet it, but I was pleased with that. There's very different things there.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I like it. I'm glad it's out because we've been playing it live, and I'm sure anybody will tell you that playing a song that people don't know live it's painful. It's really hard because people don't know it. They're hearing it for the first time. They might love it or they might hate it. You have no idea, but they just sit there with blank faces, right? And you're like, cool, you guys don't know this song, but it was like that scene in Back to the Future when Michael J. Fox is wailing on the solo. He's like, you don't know this yet, but your kids are gonna love it. That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's out. I'm glad it's out now. People will at least be like, oh yeah, I know that song, and it's not like blank faces.
That thing that you're talking about too, sometimes it'll happen at shows. We're gonna play you guys a new one, and sometimes people will like cheer, but then like they'll just, the crowd will sometimes stand there and just because they don't know the song, they don't know what's coming, don't know what to do.
Right. And if it's like the Foo Fighters level and they're playing Shame for the first time and no one's ever heard it, that's a different thing. For like a not even mid-level working band or whatever, like trucking across Canada in clubs, like I find it's even more like that, like those people came for North America and they're waiting for that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, playing the same songs that you guys, there's no songs I would imagine that you guys have yet that you're like, oh, we have to play this because people want to hear it, but I don't like playing this song anymore.
Oh man, oh, there's definitely those songs.
Oh yeah,
Well, I mean, like, I don't want to make it sound like
because you okay, but you play them like hundreds and hundreds of times, right? So
Sure.
there's a reason for that, I think.
Oh yeah, no, but like for us, it's like the videos. Like if we have a video for a song and or like it was a single, whatever, and then that's generally like people will be like, oh, play this or play this or play this. But no, but there's definitely like nights when guys will just be like, you know what, like I'm not feeling that song anymore. We have to take it out of rotation for a few months. Like no, that's definitely happened for sure. Yeah, and it could just be like experience too. Like maybe someone's having a bad night and it's like they really kind of reach the peak of the bad night at that when playing that song, so then it gets a sour taste in their mouth. I don't know, but no, it happens. It happens for sure.
Okay, so which song of those that you've written do you like the least? Like this is like saying which child do you like the least?
Like of the singles?
Yeah. Okay, of the singles.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
one don't you like anymore? If you just had to pick just one.
I think it's like you can dislike it for a while and kind of come back to it. So for me, Oh, the Mighty Have Fallen was the song that we put out a video for, but we did a video game with it. And it was a really, like, I feel like a lot of people have done that now, but at the time it was kind of like a groundbreaking thing. We made this RPG game where you go across Atlantic Canada and you have to battle all these other bands, and all friends of ours. And
Cool.
I feel like we could never nail that song live. That one and maybe Burned in Effigy. And it's just, even just me, like vocally, I feel like I couldn't hit them well enough to deliver that experience. So yeah, those ones were bummers for me. And I really like both those songs for different reasons, but but recently we've kind of come back on them. We've really spent a little bit more time, and I think we've been a bit more thoughtful with them and tried to do them in a way that we can do them justice. So like I'm kind of back on those songs now, but those are two for me that I really did not want to play. Like I just was like, Burn Everything that's a really tough one. That was never a single, but it was just like, it is a song that people want to hear a lot. They'll be like, oh, play Burn Everything. I'm like, I don't think we're ever going to play that, because it's definitely the most withdrawn, mellow song that we have, so when we're trucking with all of our amps at 12 and we're just like full distortion pedals, and it's like, how do you do that really well and then do that song where everything's drawn back and it's almost acoustic? It's like, we never nailed it. I know there's ways to do it, but we just never nailed it. So that I kind of have a distaste for that song, just because people always want to hear it. I'm like, well, sorry, but we're not going to play it. But.
Well, just to further the Foo Fighters analogy, saying like you're worried about nailing certain songs, like vocally in a live setting, it's very hard for Dave to sing the whole screaming part in Monkey Wrench now. Like he doesn't make it through that. Where you listen to that on the album, he didn't do that in one take either.
Right.
Maybe in 95 he did, but that would be like crazy. Like that.
He just has this
one last thing before I quit. That whole kind of thing that goes on? Yeah. Yeah,
he's just got this confidence. I don't know what it is. Like even when he's having an off night and you can tell, like, it's still amazing. I don't know. Like, how they were releasing a lot of their live vault stuff. Some of it's like not their best work, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but he's just got this magical confidence, and it sells, man. It's like, oh,
he's got the rock and roll aura thing going on, because I think there's a lot of times at the Foo Fighters shows where he kind of screams, oh yeah, a bit much, like, not like Dave Grohl's ever going to do the podcast. We can talk, and he is who he is. He's Dave Grohl. But I find sometimes live, there's a lot of screaming, a lot of, where it's like, just sing the song maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of rock and roll vibrato to it for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
I don't know how much of that is fueled by like alcohol. I have no idea, but there's a lot of that.
I think they crush some beers every night before they go out on stage. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and I think the further into the tour that you see them, probably the more that's a thing. but like, and I've seen them live a couple times, and I know what you mean. Like, I've seen them live and it was incredible, and I've seen them live where I was like, okay, that was a lot,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And like you gotta think of bands like that, like bands like Foo Fighters or Weezer, or bands that have like 13, 14 records out, and they're still just, it's like, man, that's gotta be
the A level thing. And have that library.
Keep that going forever. Wow.
It's pretty
We should all
incredible.
be so lucky.
Yeah, right. I did get to see Foo Fighters once at Lee's Palace in Toronto, and it was only because I worked for a radio station that presented it. The Edge was doing that. It was like literally like the first week that I worked there, and like to see a band like that. It was on the In Your Honor cycle, so like 2005.
Oh wow!
So, you know, that was amazing. At one point, like that place fits 600 people,
Right?
Maybe.
That's where you want to see a band like that, man. If you get a chance to see like
those types of experiences, yeah, just like I was just lucky to be the right guy in the right place, you know.
Right.
That's the only reason I got into that show.
yeah, that must have been amazing. I'm jealous for that one.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, come on my podcast and I'll tell you about cool experiences that I've had.
Okay.
Okay, so how did Brian Byrne, like, how does, do you guys end up reaching out to him, or was that a Rats thing you said?
No, it wasn't a Rats thing. Like, I mean, it was with Rats, obviously. Rats recorded it and everything, and I've got some footage of Rats and Byrne, like Byrne doing the vocals. And it's so dark because of the glass, like the tinted glass in the vocal booth. You can't see Brian, so the footage is kind of, it's like Eric Rats talking to a window, which kind of, you know, it's heartbreaking. But no, man, Brian was a radio DJ in Halifax for a while. Brian's done everything, like every job on the planet. So
I don't think I knew he was a radio guy, really?
Yeah, at the station in Halifax. It was called Live 105. This would have been, well, I mean, maybe 5 years ago, going back. And so he was a radio DJ, and that's how we kind of met him. Like, I mean, obviously, I knew who he was. Like, I was a huge fan of Blue, Green, Orange, and even Quicksilver Meat Dream. I love those records. Yeah. So, like, I knew Brian from I'm Mother Earth. I didn't know him personally, but we got to go into the station and do, like, you know, the live. They had the live on the air thing. We did that a couple times with him, and that's how we met. Was like the same. I mean, the same way we know you, right? It was the same thing. And then he just was always like tweeting us and going back and forth, and we just became close, you know. And then he was just in our corner like all the time. And he, I don't know, it's just a great thing. It didn't seem real at first in a way.
It's cool to have someone like that on your side. I got to imagine, like, that has had the success and has had some notoriety, and is like, here's a band that deserves it too.
Yeah, it's super cool, but also just like, I love the way he sings. You know what I mean? Like, so there's also that, like, I look up to him for sure at the notoriety side, but not as much as just like, man, he's such a good. I find he's just like got this incredible voice. Like, when did you get back from Mars? Oh man, like that is, for me, that's the peak of his vocals, and you're like, oh dude.
He's got a really unique sounding voice too, I found. It's funny, a couple episodes back in the podcast, I was talking to Barry Taylor, who worked at the Edge with me as well, and like he was there a few years earlier than I was and did evenings. Barry was really funny, but Edwin lived in his building. And I got him to tell this story on the podcast about Edwin buying a hot dog at Hooker's Harvey's, which was like right across the street from him. It's a true story.
There's a place called it's a Harvey's, but
okay, so it's on Jarvis is where the ladies of the evening traditionally have gone out to solicit themselves.
Right.
And there's a Harvey's at Jarvis and Gerard, and his condo was like just like right across the street from there. I mean, it's a nice area. It just happens to be that like that's the one where like the hookers tend to like. I remember the first time I ever saw hookers was with my dad taking me to a Leaf game, and this is like a block just east of Maple Leaf Gardens or something like that. And so like we would go sometimes and get Harvey because we'd hang out at his place quite a lot, like different announcers from the station. Everyone seemed to hang out at Barry's, but yeah, he told this story of just how he thought it was so weird that he saw someone buy a hot dog at Hooker's Harvey's, and that alone is just funny, but it's even better because it was Edwin.
Yeah, and it's even better because I'm just realizing now that Harvey's in Ontario has hot dogs.
You guys don't have those at the?
We don't have hot dogs here. No.
Maybe go in and ask. Maybe they just don't. And be like,
they don't tell it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm kind of craving Harvey's now too.
You know what's good about Harvey's, and Harvey's could sponsor my podcast if they liked, but is that it's a real burger on a real grill with charcoal. It doesn't come out of like a heating tray or something like that.
And their new poutines are delicious.
They are.
Anyone from Harvey's is. I don't know if you guys have those. If that might be a regional thing, but
no, we got the. We're in Ottawa here, so like if.
Of course, yeah. What am I saying?
People, I mean, it is a good like fast food, but there's some killer poutine options in this area of the country.
So my old band, the Ditch Pigs, was my high school band, right? Like when I was 14, learning how to play. When we all like the first year after high school, we got to open for Edwin and the Pressure.
Okay, yeah.
It was Edwin's other band.
Yep.
And he was so. I think that was the first time in my life that I was starstruck by somebody. Not seeing somebody like I saw the Bare Naked Ladies when I was a kid. And I was definitely starstruck, but I mean that was from the crowd. That was like, that's the Bare Naked Ladies. But Edwin, we actually played with them in a club here. And I think we only got the gig because I knew the club owner. It was like throw these kids a bone kind of thing. But yeah, I was so starstruck by him. He was in person. He was like that was a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like whoa.
Well, his era of I Mother Earth too is just it's right in that prime, like 90s alternative when things are just like really exploding. So he became like in those years a big star in Canadian music. Like I Mother Earth was massive. You think about Scenery and Fish, like that album, like alone is pretty crazy.
That album's incredible. My copy of it actually disintegrated. Like I know you think these CDs go back to the 90s or whatever, and eventually they're all going to disintegrate, right? Like every CD isn't going to be a CD anymore. Yeah. But that was the first one I had. I opened it up like maybe a couple months ago, and it's in literally in pieces.
Oh, really?
And it was just on the shelf. It wasn't like jarred or anything, but it's just disintegrated.
I bet you I know why. This is because Scenery and Fish is a great road trip record, and so it probably spent a lot of time cooking underneath like, windshields in hot cars in the summertime, because everybody takes that, they spend too much time in vehicles. That's going to speed up that disintegration process big time.
Yeah, you're probably right. That was definitely, and you're right about that being such a great road trip record, man.
Yes.
And it's got the song Shortcut to Moncton on it. That's where I live, in Moncton.
Oh, right, of course.
Such a great track. It's kind of making fun of like small town, but I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, those songs are fun. Like the Weaker Thans. I Hate Winnipeg. From Winnipeg.
Weaker Than's one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
I absolutely love John K. Sampson as a songwriter. Yes.
So. Yeah. I think anyone who's in kind of the punk rock scene in Canada has an opinion along those lines about the Weaker Thans.
Yeah, especially if you're a songwriter. I know like that's a band that we can't really listen to in the band because the guys in the band don't really. His voice is you love it or you hate it, right? Like it's
unique, sure. Yeah,
it's unique, yeah. And until you really get onto it, like I heard them at first when Follow was out, their first record, and I was like, whatever. But then once you really dive into it, once you really listen to the lyrics, it's like, oh man, I think he's got to be the best songwriter in Canada for sure. I don't even think that's up for debate. I think it's just a known fact. Yeah, scientists all agree that he is the best.
It's been scientifically proven that John K.
9 out of 10 dentists agree that John K.
Is the best. Yeah. Because that's funny when things talk about things like that, because it's like every radio station comes up with their like list of this is the best of, depending on what their frequency is, it's the best X number of songs ever. And it's like, okay.
They're right. They're right. 100%.
Yeah.
How could they be wrong?
How could you even argue with that? Great chat, man. I love catching up with you and some of the stories that we just kind of swapped around unexpectedly. Me telling you about Edwin buying a hot dog at Hooker's Harvey's and other things. But why don't we wrap this up with the new one, Dischordia, and then we'll try to get you guys out here maybe in 2022 or the end of this year. Do you think that happens?
I would love nothing more, man.
Does it happen? Do you think it happens? Is it happening?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, like a year ago, I would have said 100%.
Yeah, we're doing it.
We'll be back. But now, I mean, I think inevitably down the road, sure. But yeah, I miss the road. Some things have to change, obviously. Even the way that we, on our end, the way the bands exists and travel. But yeah, I miss it, man. I can't wait to get back.
I didn't mean to wrap this up on a bummer, really. I should have.
Oh, it's not a bummer. We had a moment of hopeful reflection.
We go.
We had a year to look in the mirror. It was great. It's a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful thing.
Self-reflection and self-awareness are good things. Absolutely.
And we needed that.
Don, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Dude, thank you. Thank you so much. This is a lot of fun.